I just want to I just want to share this and just show how bizarre some people's thinking actually goes. How deep their bizarre imagination goes, where they think they understand reality, and this is how they explain it.
Moves in, gravity gets stronger, so you'd expect him to speed up. But that is not what you see. Instead, the rocket ship appears to be slowing down. Not only that, he also appears to be shaking his fist slower and slower. That's because, from your perspective, his time is slowing down. At the very instant when he should cross the event horizon, the point beyond which not even light can escape, he and his rocket ship do not disappear. Instead, they seem to stop, frozen in time. The light from the spaceship gets dimmer and redder until it completely fades from view. This is how any object would look crossing the event horizon.
Okay, did you see that? He says that any object that you see crossing the event horizon of a black hole, you will see freeze in time, slowly fade to the color red, and then slowly fade to black, and that's all you see. You don't see any light, you don't see any heat, you don't see any movement. This is what happens. The object appears to freeze in time and slowly fade away into blackness. Okay, now if we do a quick lookup of what a quasar looks like, I don't know if any of these are real images of quasars, but we get the general picture of what material looks like when it's falling into a black hole. What happens is the material seems to always fly by the black hole, and as every flyby it does, it gets a smaller and smaller and smaller orbital loop, and as it gets closer and closer to the black hole, it starts to gain velocity, and eventually the loops become so small that and the velocity becomes so fast, the material starts to stretch itself around the orbital loop that it's taking, and it starts to rub against itself as it gets closer and closer to the black hole. This is what happens to material that falls into a black hole, not what I don't see any evidence of material that is freezing in time and slowly fading into blackness as it falls into the event horizon. That is not what we see in outer space of material falling into a black hole. I have no clue how this guy would even think that this idea of something freezing in time at the event horizon and slowly fading into blackness would be anywhere close to what happens in actual reality. But somehow he says that with such confidence, where he thinks he's actually speaking true, realistic truth, where his reasoning and his imagination could be no further from it. He's not even close to what explaining what happens in reality. I just don't know why people even bother listening to him. The ideas that some people come up with are so not even connected to reality whatsoever, and they always seem to believe it's real. Do these people not even? I mean, look, this is what quasars look like. How would anybody in their right mind would think that a material would freeze in time, fade into blackness when we have actual evidence of what material looks like when it's falling into a black hole? It forms a secretion disk that makes a quasar. Where the hell did he get the idea that a material would freeze in time and slowly fade into blackness when it enters a black hole? That idea is psychotic. That is psychopathic. that is just beyond imaginary reality. It has no place to be put in actual reality, and yet people are listening to him and believing him that that is what happens when it could be, it's not even close to anywhere close to what actually happens in reality.
They seem to stop, frozen in time. The light from the spaceship gets dimmer and redder until it completely fades from view. This is how any object would look crossing the event horizon. Light is still coming from the point where he crossed, it's just too redshifted to see. But if you could see that light, then in theory you would see everything that has ever fallen into the black hole.
And let's just see how many views we got. Look at this. 22 million views for this video, and it's only 1 year old. And the first thing that he explains about black holes is completely and utterly incorrect.
You track your nemesis in a rocket ship and blast him off towards a black hole. He looks back at you, shaking his fist at a constant rate. As he zooms in, gravity gets stronger, so you'd expect him to speed up. But that is not what you see. Instead, the rocket ship appears to be slowing down. Not only that, he also appears to be shaking his fist slower and slower. That's because, from your perspective, his time is slowing down. At the very instant when he should cross the event horizon, the point beyond which not even light can escape, he and his rocket ship do not disappear. Instead, they seem to stop, frozen in time. The light from the spaceship gets dimmer and redder until it completely fades from view. This is how any object would look crossing the event horizon.
Yeah.
Light is still coming from the point where he crossed, it's just too redshifted to see.
Well, the light in some of these photographs of quasars is red, but it's not red light coming from material that's frozen in time. But there is some red light that's with these pictures that is coming from the quasars. So maybe he's right about that one thing. You know, you do see red light coming from something that's crossing the event horizon. It's just everything else that he says in this video
but if you
is completely
see
wrong.
That light, then in theory you would see everything that has ever fallen into the black hole frozen.
Yeah. 22 million views. 24,925 comments. Once you get so far in math, it doesn't even look like math anymore. It's an amazing coincidence. Joking aside, education, when you explain something, you go to the history of scientific discovery. You know, these are all people that are agreeing with this guy and saying that they look up to him and they appreciate what he's saying. It's like the first thing that he explains in this video is something that is completely wrong and false.
You can never see anything enter a black hole. Imagine you track your nemesis in a rocket ship and...
Yeah, so this is what people are watching and what people are believing today. And yet they have actual, real observational evidence that shows what actually happens, yet people are still lost in their imaginary wonderland where they think this is actual reality. Man, they need a reality check. The person who made this video and every single person that has viewed this that believes it, hopefully it's not all 22 million people or whatever, how many people make up those 22 million views. If a large percentage of that amount of views of people actually believe this video, then scientific reality in people's heads has gone far more brainwashed than I ever thought. And that's a scary, scary idea.